Alex, I'm not familiar with you. What's your level of English?
This year I'm going to do the B2 exam.
Yeah.
So this is my level.
Okay, that's fine. And do you understand me well at the pace I'm speaking at? Is it making sense to you?
Yes, more or less, but well, I can understand I think the best important words or the best important sentence I can understand.
Yeah, okay. So if I say anything that doesn't make perfect sense, just stop me, interrupt me.
Okay.
Yeah, just say, hey, Alan, don't get that, repeat that.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is go through vocabulary and words, you know, sort of advanced English words.
Okay.
And native expressions. And in explaining those things to you, you're also hearing, you know, regular speech, how I articulate, but you're also learning some good words as well. That's what I do in this class. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So I'll just go to my word list, some notes. Bring that up. Share screen. Okay, so I'll go to where I am here. And this was an example here. Can everybody see that on the screen? It might be more difficult on the phone. I assume you're using a phone, Alex. Yeah, it's better than a laptop, to be honest. Can you read what I've got on the screen here? And it's a piece of text and highlighted. This was to illustrate the word outdo that I did last week. Do you remember that, Elham? I was talking about outdo. Yeah, you remember that? But I don't think I showed you this, did I? This is the expression. You know.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't.
So this is where I read this expression. I thought this is a good one to teach people. So I'll read the sentence. The sentence is, well, I'll go from the beginning of the paragraph. In the West, we invented our own list of disparaging labels: red, pinko, fellow traveler, commie simp. Concerned by the danger of Soviet espionage and determined not to replicate the appeasement policy that had smoothed Hitler's path, US politicians tried to outdo one another in appearing the most vigilant. Does that make sense? So the US politicians tried to outdo each other in the sense that they tried to demonstrate that they were more American than others. And this is what led to McCarthyism, which was this kind of terrible stage that America went through where everyone's getting labeled a commie, and short for communist. Does that make sense? Particularly the use of outdo there. Yeah. Okay. Alex, does that make sense to you? What I'm teaching here is the meaning of this word outdo. To outdo somebody is to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Right, so the next one here is vituperative. This is a big word. And again, it's being used to describe McCarthy. McCarthy fooled, I'll read the sentence. McCarthy fooled as many as he did, because a lot of people shared his anxieties, i.e. worried about the communists, and liked his vituperative style and enjoyed watching the powerful squirm. So the idea of vituperative is very, very abrasive, very rough style, very angry kind of style. Let me bring up my browser window as well.
Vituperative.
Yeah, that's how it's defined, pronounced. And then it says bitter and abusive, a vituperative outburst, right? That's what it means. And so what I should do is actually bring up both screens if I can. Okay. So you think of it in its meaning, bitter and abusive. That's what he was characterized by, and people like that. He was kind of like getting at the bad guys kind of thing. Vituperative. Does that make sense to you both?
Excuse me, how would people like a vituperative style?
Repeat the question, Elham, please. I didn't really understand the question.
I'm asking how would people like this style, the vituperative style?
Well, in general, people don't like that style, right? People don't like that style.
Yeah.
So but I think in the political context, given they sort of liked that guy because he was showing a level of leadership, people thought, in getting the country to, you know, go after the bad guys kind of thing. So he's sort of a person who took no prisoners. Have you heard that expression, took no prisoners?
No.
Alex, I'll maybe ask you to just turn your camera off because it's a wee bit distracting if you're moving around, if you don't mind. Just leave your audio on. You do that? Thanks. So to take no prisoners is, it comes from the war situation. You know, in general, when two countries are at war, they should treat each other with respect, right? And so, which means that whenever there are prisoners, you know, whenever you overcome an enemy and defeat them, you have to take prisoners, right? You have to treat the enemy with respect, right? This is all codified in the Geneva Convention.
I see.
Yeah. But sometimes a country at war will take no prisoners, they'll just shoot them, We'll just kill them, kill the enemy, right? So they won't treat them with respect. They won't take prisoners of war. And that behavior is generally regarded by every nation on earth as inhumane. Okay. And so that inhumane attitude becomes known as take no prisoners. Right? Take no prisoners, i.e., you just shoot them, is what's implied. But that is then used in almost every walk of life to describe a very tough attitude. So, for example, if I look that up, and come back to vituperative. Be ruthlessly aggressive or uncompromising in the pursuit of one's objectives. So take no prisoners.
Take no prisoners.
Although it stems from a war situation, it's then used in other walks of life, like much more frequently, and meaning this: be ruthlessly aggressive or uncompromising in the pursuit of one's objectives. And so here's an example. They will be taking no prisoners tonight against bitter rivals Wigan. Now that's a sports statement, right? That's a football statement. You know, football teams obviously develop rivalries. And they look at the other team as the enemy, you know. And so what this is saying is they're going to be ruthlessly aggressive.
I see. Like having no mercy and do whatever they
Yes.
can.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I see.
Exactly right. Okay. So, and so I used that almost as a by the way when I was trying to explain the vituperative. A vituperative style is bitter and abusive, right? And I said it was somebody who wants to take no prisoners. That's just a way of you know, a way of describing them. They're very bitter and abusive towards their opponents.
Yes, I got the point. Thank you.
Okay. So that's vituperative. So although generally it's a very negative thing, in McCarthy's case, they did like it, right? Because it was not directed at them, it was directed at the perceived enemy. Yeah, that's why they liked this vituperative style. You see how much you learn just by reading books? You know, you learn so much how words are used in context. And then this is another really good word, unconscionable. Unconscionable, which I did last week.
Yeah, we did.
And it's on this page here in this book. The world, East and West, had paid an unconscionable price to withstand the folly unleashed by their fanatical brains. So this is talking about fascism and all, you know, whether it was Mussolini or Hitler or Tojo in Japan, you know, that they had wrought really terrible deeds on humanity. And so to just try to describe that, the author here, Madeleine Albright, is saying the world, East and West, has paid an unconscionable price, right? An unconscionable price. And so if we just look up that word again in terms of its meaning, let me just give you my definition. not right or reasonable, unreasonably excessive. Yeah. So that's how that word is used, unconscionable. It's unconscionable because it goes against the conscience. The conscience is that inner thing that tells you if something is right or wrong. And we've all got one. And so what the author is saying is the world paid an unconscionable price.
Unconscionable.
And if you look at the similes here, unethical, amoral, immoral, unprincipled, indefensible, wrong, that also gives you a very good sense of that word. So it either has this sense, it's not right, it's a wrong thing, or it's excessive. Those are the words of force and those two slants of meaning of unconscionable. And so on this second shade of meaning, it's excessive, unwarranted, uncalled for, unreasonable, unfair. Unconscionable. Is everybody comfortable with that word?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Mona.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm glad you joined.
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I was asking teacher, excuse me for delay.
No problem. So I'm just showing you some words here in context, which is helpful, which I've actually taught you last week. And so this word is egregious. Let's just do a recap on what the word egregious means. I know we've done it. Let's hear it sounded.
Egregious.
Okay, egregious. It means outstandingly bad, shocking, right? Right. That's what it means. Something is extremely bad or conspicuously bad. It's egregious. Okay. As a little point of interest, it used to mean remarkably good. In the olden days. But somewhere along the line, it flipped its meaning and means extremely bad. So how was that meal tonight? It was egregious. What does that mean? Well, in olden days, it meant it was really good, but nowadays it means it's really bad. A very unusual aspect of English that words can do that. Okay, so that's what egregious means. Now let's look at how it was used here in this book, right? Every party, this is speaking about the war in Bosnia and Serbia in the 90s. Every party to the Bosnian bloodbath could be faulted for human rights violations. But the Serbs had the greater firepower and committed by far the most egregious crimes. So now that you understand the meaning of the word, really bad, extremely bad, you see how it's used in context quite powerfully. She could have said they committed by far the most crimes, right? And it would essentially mean the same thing. But she said the most egregious crimes means that it's very bad, like extremely bad, you know. Will go down in history what they did, you know, as really bad. Is everybody comfortable with egregious? Okay, got one thumbs up. When I ask a question, if you don't want to come off mute, you can just give me a thumbs up on your phone or computer. Now, looking at these other words, I think we did hell hath no fury. That's hell, not heel. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. We did that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And believe you me,
Yes.
and got the gist.
Yes, and svelte and
Well, and what about quiz? Did we do quisling? I don't think we did we?
no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so this is really where we started. I didn't mark this up correctly last time. Right, quisling. This is an unusual word, quisling. And you won't know what it means, but it means a traitor who collaborates with an enemy force occupying their country. That's what a quisling is. And the origin of the word is from Second World War. There was a major Vidkun quisling. This is when he lived. The Norwegian army officer and diplomat who ruled Norway on behalf of German occupying forces. And here's how it's used in the context in this book. Fearing its own population, the quisling Hungarian government had secretly tried, I'm not sure what that word is, consigned his remains to an unmarked grave. Right. So the idea here is, by calling the government quisling, it's saying that they were in cahoots with the Soviet government at the time. Does that make sense? So a quisling is normally a reference to an individual who's a traitor. But here it's saying the Hungarian government was quisling. It was treacherous towards the people and selling them out to the Soviets at this time. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay. So here's a really good expression. Oh, so I realized I said something there that you might not understand, but you probably understood it because of my context. I said in cahoots. Did you hear that? In cahoots. What does that mean? What did I mean when I said in cahoots? Did you even notice me saying that? Or did you just not know what it meant? Or did you understand? Did you?
No, I didn't even hear that.
Okay, all right. I was conscious. I'm very conscious when I'm speaking to you guys. When I say something, they won't know that, right? So I said that. I said in cahoots. So none of you know what that means, right? So let's look up the definition.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't know a word at all, you don't even hear it.
It's interesting. Yeah. So let's hear it said.
In cahoots.
In cahoots, okay. And it means colluding or conspiring together secretly. In cahoots. A great expression, right? Great expression. In cahoots.
I'm sorry, I don't know either colluding or conspiring meaning.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So they have similar meanings. To conspire means it's to deceive, right? To deceive. But if you were talking about something Alan was going to do to Mona, he could deceive her, right? But if Mona and Alan were going to jointly deceive Elham, we would conspire. It's the idea of coming together to do wrong, to be deceitful, to conspire, right? And collude has the same meaning. So let's do both of those. Let's do them in that order. Make secret plans jointly to commit an unlawful or harmful act. So at me even suggesting that has caused Mona to leave the class. She was so offended I suggested such a thing. Okay, so you see the idea. The idea is, it has the idea of jointly. It's deception, right? It's deception. But conspire means it's joint deception is the idea of conspire. Sorry, I made fun of you there when you left, Mona. I said you were so offended you left the class.
I'm here, teacher.
I know.
I
But-
couldn't hear your voice.
Okay.
I left class and I come here again.
No problem. Okay, so are you comfortable with conspire? It's the idea of doing wrong, right? But not doing wrong in isolation. You are coming to an agreement with others to jointly do some wrong. Right? That's what conspire means. You comfortable with that, Mona?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So now we'll look at the other word that was used there, collude. And this means, it's a very similar meaning, right? To cooperate in secret or an unlawful way to deceive or gain advantage over others. He accused his opponents of colluding with one another. So colluding is always bad, right? You know, you could use it in a not bad sense, right? But in general, collusion is seen as very bad behavior because being deceitful is bad, and to agree with somebody else to jointly deceive is even worse, you know. So you're both in it, or maybe there's a lot of you in it, right? It's collusion. That's called collusion. That's bad, right? And so you see similar meaning was conspire, right? Connive, intrigue, be hand in glove, plot. So that's what collude means. Everybody comfortable with that?
Collude.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we're clear on collude and conspire, collude and conspire, very similar meanings. We'll now come back to in cahoots. And in cahoots is a phrase which means colluding or conspiring together secretly. You can see that, you know, English has lots of ways of saying the same thing, right? And we do use all of them. You would normally use in cahoots in a more innocent way than in a very evil sense, you know. Whereas collusion and conspire would both be seen as sort of evil. But, you know, you might say, we'll be in cahoots to get some more ice cream at the end of the day or something. You know, you might use it in a more innocent way in cahoots. But the point of in cahoots is we have an agreement. either said or just an understanding for our advantage over others. Okay, have we got in cahoots? I've got no thumbs up. What does that mean? Does that mean you're still confused?
The example sentence is saying that the area is dominated by guerrillas.
Yeah.
What does the other part means?
In cahoots with drug traffickers?
Yeah,
Well, you know what guerrillas are.
yeah, but I don't know what is traffickers.
Okay, so drug traffickers are those who sell drugs.
Uh-huh.
Basically, the drug traffickers are the ones who take the drugs from wherever they grow them and move them, generally poorer nations, like Afghanistan or somewhere. And they bring those drugs to other Western countries, Europe or America or whatever. Or in South America, because a lot of drugs come from South America and Latam, and they moved into the United States. So the people who do that movement of drugs, they're called drug traffickers. That is, they traffic the drugs. Traffic has got the sense of movement. So they move the drugs illegally, because it's it's contraband, right? It's in every nation, it's regarded as illicit behavior, wrong behavior, illegal.
So gorilla here is not an animal.
No, not at all. No,
I
not at
because
all.
the big.
Yeah. So what you're thinking of is gorilla, right? The gorilla.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the gorillas are the guys that eat the bananas, right? And are very strong, but generally gentle creatures, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you described a heavily built, aggressive-looking man, would be described as a gorilla as well, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a gorilla like that. But then a guerrilla, guerilla, is a completely different word.
Guerrilla.
Right? Sounds the same, sounds very similar, but it's a member of a small independent group taking part in irregular fighting, typically against larger regular forces. The time fell to the guerrillas. So guerrillas are like Al-Qaeda. They would be described as getting involved in guerrilla warfare.
I see. Now I see. Thank you.
Now you see. So now if we come back, the area is dominated by guerrillas in cahoots with the drug traffickers. The drug traffickers are the people who take responsibility for the movement of the drugs. And the guerrillas are the ones with the guns who do the fighting, and they'll be getting some kind of cut. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Well, we've actually gone quite slowly this morning, but hopefully we've covered some good ground. I taught you in cahoots just because I realized I just said something that was a little bit unusual and egregious. Take no prisoners. So we've covered quite a bit. We'll maybe do one more word. Done quisling. Yeah, damp squib. You do not know what a damp squib is, do you?
No.
So this is a good one to teach you.
Damp squib.
Damp squib. A situation or event which is much less impressive than expected. My moment of power was a damp squib. You'd never, unless you know the meaning, you'd never divine the meaning, right? You know. I think this comes from explosives. Like if an explosive gets damp, it won't go off. You know, like a piece of gelignite or something like that. The phrase damp squib seems to originate from squibs, an explosive device that becomes damp and does not work. It could be that the phrase was derived from squibs, the firework. However, it first appeared in a newspaper published in London in March 1837 in the Morning Post. Isn't it interesting where things come from? So basically, a damp squib is something where there's high expectations and then it doesn't turn out well. That's what a damp squib is. So you usually use it to define an event, you know. How was your English class this morning, Mona? Oh, it was a damp squib.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a good expression to know. So what I'll do is I will mark here using my wee coding system where we've got to. You know, we've done damp squib, so I'll mark it after that. And so next time we will start with a dog's dinner. I'll explain what a dog's dinner is. And a dog's dinner is not a dog's dinner. But you'll have to wait till next time for me to explain what that means. All right.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you too.
Too.
Thank you.